One of the effects of climate change that Boston is already facing is the rise of sea levels. NASA says that sea levels are projected to rise 1 to 4 feet by 2100. With the city surrounded by water, residents are already being impacted. Chris Cook, Boston's Chief of Environment, Energy, and Open Space, says you don't have to travel far in Boston to see the effects of high tides and storms.
These are neighborhoods where you have potential damage to infrastructure or damage to cars from seawater, or residents can't use a main thoroughfare to access their homes or get to work.
The Resilient Boston Harbor Plan was created as a response for the city's need to adapt to rising sea levels. This plan creates individual solutions for neighborhoods such as East Boston, the North End, and South Boston. The main goal is to redesign and prepare the city to protect it from sea level rise and flooding.
We have to move on the adaptation strategies. Boston's a fully built out city. How are we going to stay here for the next 50, 100, 200 years? What is the city going to have to look like? And I think it's going to have a lot of these nature-based solutions along our water.
Most solutions include elevating and redesigning streets, parks, and public spaces. Some of the smaller interventions have already been completed, such as the 7-foot deployable flood wall system at the East Boston Greenway. This wall will protect an estimated 4,300 East Boston residents in a major storm event. The city does not have a concrete timeline for the several short and long-term solutions. Officials update their plans based on which projects serve the most vulnerable residents.
We have to say, well, what projects are the most meaningful to move on first? And just because there's an opportunity to move on something, are we really serving the most amount of residents who are the most vulnerable by moving on this project, or should we devote our resources to another project?
Resilient Boston Harbor involves a collaboration of city and state agencies as well as nonprofits, since the properties that need to be restructured aren't all owned by the city. Boston is also working with private developers that have ongoing construction in neighborhoods such as the Seaport. Cook said that Mayor Marty Walsh is making a call for buildings to participate in district-level protection.
Yes, you want to make sure that your building itself is not vulnerable, and thank you for building to the certain codes and not contributing to the issue. But also, what is the opportunity, maybe a block or 2 blocks, before the water gets to your building? Is there a park there? Is there a raised road there? Is there a larger deployable system that actually protects the neighborhood and the residents that are around your building?
Cook also said that the city doesn't want to put a dollar figure on all of these projects.
Putting a total price tag figure around the entire project would be ill-conceived at this point, because we don't know what we're going to be doing at what point.
Boston is in the process of applying for a federal $10 million pre-disaster mitigation grant. This would help the city get ahead of its vulnerabilities and begin a design phase for Fort Point Channel. Though there isn't a concrete timeline, officials agree that urgency and adaptability are essential to their planning process. Reporting for Inside Boston, I'm Jackie Contreras.